It get real hot under these lights, but we gon' make it all right. I'ma do this till midnight to send it to you all right. So either way that it goes, I got to keep on with the flow. If you think that you gon', I didn't know what to rhyme after that. Peace and blessings, family. What's up with all the daydreamers out there? Please live it. Don't sleep through this thing, man. Welcome back to episode 10 of the Pour Over, man, where we not only make a delicious cup of pour over coffee, which you obviously do not see, but the main purpose is to pour over into you some words of encouragement to not only get you through your Monday, but to get you through the rest of your week. And on this episode of the Pour Over, we're going to continue to talk about, restructuring and rebranding, starting from ground zero, being on that journey, the things that we can do. And at this moment, you should have like some traction going on. You should be digging in. You should be motivated, hopefully, to get started, or to have already been started and to keep going. We've talked about a lot of different things. So on this episode, it's a subject matter we cannot ignore as we start from ground zero. We're pushing from ground zero, the restructuring, rebranding. We got to talk about our finances, guys. I know it's like the dreaded F word. It's a cuss word, and nobody likes to talk about finances. It is a subject matter we sweep under the rug, and I understand why. I understand why we shy away from finance conversations, simply because it's one of those subject matters that actually lets us know who we are. If you want to know what a man values, what a woman values, just look at her bank account, gather up her receipts, his receipts, bank statements, and pay attention to where all the money is poured into. If you want to see what motivates a person, what a person values, what they're doing on a consistent basis, just pay attention to their bank accounts. If you want to see if all the talk that they do matches up with action, just look at what they're spending money on. But not only that, let me go ahead and say that I'm no financial guru, guys. I'm honestly not. The things I'm about to discuss are things that I'm doing and have been practicing to help me get on track and stay on track when it comes to my finance. So with that being said, we're going to look at finances from two different categories, two different brackets rather. We're going to look at it from your personal finances, and we're going to look at it from your business finances. To be honest with you guys, this is going to have to be broken up in a few different episodes. So on this one, on episode 10, we're going to take the time out to hone in on our personal finances. Yes, as we're restructuring and rebranding on our road to doing better with our business ventures, with whatever we're doing, we still have to take an account of our personal finances, and how we manage those does affect how we manage our business finances, because those two actually sometimes merge over, because we got to pay ourselves from our businesses. But not only that, oftentimes we rob our business to make sure that we handle what we're mismanaging with our personal funds. So in other words, we mismanage our personal funds, which causes us to mismanage our business funds, which causes us to constantly be in a stressful situation that we continue to, for some odd reason, cause. Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, some of us make really decent money. Some of you guys out there really make some decent money. The reality is you're not making decent financial decisions, all right? So just because you have quote unquote a healthy income doesn't mean that you have a healthy mind frame of dealing with your finances. So let me give you some practical things, and that's what we're gonna do. Like I was saying, I'm not a financial guru. I don't have all the answers for a lot of different things, man. What I'm about to talk about is extremely practical, and you might look at me crazy like, wow, okay, really? And you might even cut this video off once I tell you how I deal with my finances, because it's very simple and practical. And you probably heard what I'm about to say 1,000 times over, but here's the problem. You haven't put none of that stuff into practice, and you know it will make you better at your finances. But anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Talking about my personal finances. I'm going to talk about a mistake that I made. One of the main mistakes that I've made when it comes to my personal finances, meaning my home finances here in the Carter house. The biggest mistake I've ever made when it comes to my finances is I would get paid and automatically on payday spend that money, not paying my bills first. I would automatically go out to eat, take the family out to eat, buy little things here and there throughout the weekend. Because of course, if you're getting paid on a Friday, oh my goodness, that's like a trap. They need to switch that thing to Monday. Anyways, but I think that's even worse. But anyways, you get paid and you automatically go out, or I automatically went out and just spent money. Now here's the problem with that. After I did that, then I would sit down on the following Monday. All right, so Friday, Saturday, and a portion of Sunday, it's ballerific. We're spending money like we got it, and we do it. Make it rain. Anyways, we would end up, I would end up sitting down that following Monday, trying to figure out and stressing how I was going to actually pay the bills, how I was going to actually make it happen for the rest of the month. So I was broke in 2.5 days, and sometimes on that Friday, I was flat broke, stressing how I was going to make what was left over pay the bills, man. And it boiled into, if we even had something in savings, I was pulling from our savings account just to make sure that the power bill got paid, the gas bill got paid. I had gas to drive my own car. I was robbing my family's future in order to pay bills because I wanted to get paid and live in the moment. I wanted instant gratification within my financial situation. And it caused a lot of stress on me. Not only that, it caused my wife to look at me in the sense of questioning, hey, didn't we have this much in the savings account? And didn't it caused tension in the home that was unwarranted simply because I kept making bad financial decisions. And many of us, when it comes down to our financial decisions on our home, it boils around this ideal, or not this ideal, this action and this movement of self-gratification right then and there. No discipline, lack of discipline, because if it's something I learned, and I advise you guys to look this brother up, I advise you guys to look this brother up, Dave Ramsey, because a lot of what I'm about to say comes from him. We fail to realize that I don't care how much you talk educational wise about finances, and you do have to have some form of education. You got to get smarter about your finances on so many different levels. I do understand that, but most of it is behavior. Most of it is just learned, consistent, messed up behaviors we've learned over the years, whether it was from our parents, ignoring our parents, listening to our idiotic friends, or just listening to our own fleshly desires and stuff like that. You know, I think that's why it's so ironic that the scripture says the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. The flesh will fall for anything, but the spirit has to be molded and shaped to where it's strong to not fall into these temptations and things of that nature. And money is a means by which we can fall into a lot of quote unquote fleshly temptations and stuff like that. But okay, I didn't mean to get into all that, but perhaps it's relevant for you. But I found myself there. And this was a cycle I was going through for years. And then all the time I would say, I need to do better. I'm going to do better. I need to do better. And then one time my idiotic behind said this. Here it is. Here I am with a wife and I got 3 kids, and my dumb behind says, forget all that saving stuff. We gonna live for the moment, baby. Taking me to the river and let me drown. Anyways, but the crazy part about it was, I made a decision to live recklessly financially. And that doesn't mean you're out there like doing wild stuff. It just means that you're not managing your money. So what did I decide to do? What was the solution to my problem? My solution was to sit down. And in fact, if any of you guys can relate to my story, say something in the comments, put an amen. Yes, sir, that's me. I was there. I am there. Just something so I know that I'm not... I know I'm not alone, man. Y'all best to say yes, you understand in the comments, because I know you understand. Anyways, so what was my solution to the problem? My solution was to make a budget, the dreaded B word, another cuss word, the F word and the B word. These are 2 cuss words in any home. Now, here's the thing. Just talking about finances is one thing. You and your spouse has sat down and sat down and talked about finances, or you and friends and loved ones and your mom and all sat down and talked about finances and all these crazy ideas, not crazy ideas, but these great ideas on how you're going to be better with your finances. But then it comes to writing down a budget, that B word. Now that word right there can cause World War III in a household. It can cause us to want to nook if you buck. Nook if you buck. It can cause us wanting to swing on each other, man, simply because it forces us to sit down and really analyze and look at our situation. It uncovers all the ugly scars. It lets you know exactly how irresponsible you are, irresponsible your spouse was or is. Then not only that, you have to sit down and figure out what you're going to do with the income that's coming in the house. And neither party wants to give up the portion by which they control. Within a marriage, if there's anything that the spouses want to control, and note I said the spouses, man and the woman, want to control, the husband and the wife wants to be able to control, is what they spend their money on. And we refuse to give up the figure four headlock that we have inside our own wallets to better the marriage financially for its future. So I had to sit down and do a budget. And it was not an easy thing to do. So I sat down and did my budget, or what I thought I was doing as a budget. But here was my second mistake. Forgive me if I'm slurring my words. Here's my second mistake when it comes to that. So yeah, I sat down and did my budget, but guess what I didn't do? I didn't follow it. Because again, just because, now mind you, you write that thing down and you like, man, yeah, I got control. No, you don't, because you have not dealt with your behavior. You have not dealt with the pitfall. And oftentimes it takes like something real tragic to happen. I remember the gas got cut off in the house, and my wife, she looked at me and she said this. Now this hurts as a man. She said, I have never had to deal with this. And my dad would have made sure that we would have never, when we were younger, have to deal with this. That cut me deep. Now, to some of you, man, you might find that disrespectful. Who are you to relate me to your father? Well, be honest with you, if you got a woman that had a good father, darn right, she is going to look at some of your failures and compare it to her dad. She's going to look at some of your successes and compare it to her dad, but then she's going to look at you as an individual and not compare you to her father. Oftentimes side note on a subject, sometimes we actually look for our spouse and what some of the things and qualities we want of our spouse, they were in our parents. If you had a good mother, you want your wife to kind of have some of those qualities. If you have a good father, you want your husband to have some of those qualities and stuff like that. So don't feel disrespected if she checked you because she had a good father. Just step up and do what you're supposed to do. And that was the starting point of changing my mind frame about our finances. So that led me on. I still was a little shaky, but I was working on making the behavior better. You know what I'm saying? So let me tell you what I did, the second solution and what I did. So my budget still wasn't that great. I still wasn't that great at writing out a budget, guys. But what I did was I sat down. I sat my behind down and I did this. I paid the bills first. I at least made sure mortgage, utilities, car insurance, gas in the car, food in the cabinet, in the refrigerator, and whatever else we needed to make sure that was on a monthly basis paid. I made sure the bills got paid first. No matter if it left me with $20, $50, $60, $70, I made sure that the bills were paid first. I made it a habit that on payday Friday, instead of bawling out, I sat down and held myself responsible for my family. If I claim to be the head of my household, financially, when I get paid, financially, I should hold them first, sitting down, making sure that they are taken care of. Now that covers a whole spectrum right there, guys. But what I had to do was break that habit of spending money unnecessarily first and sit down and handle what's going on in my household first. I got to secure the keep. I got to take care of the castle. I got to take care of the home. You cannot call yourself a king and you neglect neglect your home. You cannot call yourself a man and you neglect your home. You cannot call yourself a husband and the very place which is called your garden, the home is your garden, and you're not actually tilling, putting seeds inside, watering it, fertilizing it, working the soil, trimming. You cannot call yourself none of that if the home is being neglected, especially if it's being neglected financially. So I had to sit down. That was my solution. Make a budget. But the best way that I found how I stuck with my budget was to pay the bills first. But then this is something I noticed as I kept doing that. I noticed that, yes, I'm paying my bills, but I'm not planning for my future. So this is where properly writing out your budget comes into play. So let me real quick, guys, this is a little longer video than I intended it, but we're talking about finances here. And I just want you guys to know the small little things that I've done to help me along the way. So this is something that I did, guys, when it comes to my whole concept. So let me help you with making a budget. All right, let me first do that. All right. Number one, you want to write down your income. Whatever you're bringing in, whether it is from your 9 to 5, if you are fortunate enough to have a 9 to 5 plus a side hustle that you might have, little things that you're bringing in income, any and everything that's bringing money into the house should be accounted for. Make sure you write down all your income, right? Any income that you're bringing in, both you and your spouse, needs to be written down and needs to be put at the top of the page. Make sure you do that first, okay? So after you got all your income written, like even if you baked the cake only one time for somebody and sold that cake, and that cake is gonna be sold this month, you write down how much that cake is going to bring into that house, right? If it's only bringing $50, all right, $25, all right, $10, still write it down. Let me tell you something. A few dollars can separate a mortgage being paid off 5 years earlier. A few dollars can separate you doing what you want to do comfortably without having to sacrifice the things that you need to do, which you shouldn't be doing, but we've all been there before. All right. A few dollars is the difference between budgeting. If you want to eat at the job and spend money every day at the job eating, a few dollars on the budget can separate you doing that comfortably without thinking about, man, hold on, I don't want to cut into this, that, this. So write down your income first. The next thing you want to do is write down your expenses. Any and everything that you pay. Now, the expenses is going to be broken down in 2 categories, right? And let me add this caveat. The reason why you're making a budget, because you need to know your present financial state. Not only that, you need to know where you're headed to. So a budget lets you know where you are right now. But not only that, a budget also lets you know financially where you are going. All right. And we'll get into that in a few, guys. But anyways, watch this. So you write down your expenses. Now, the first set of expenses, of course, is your regular monthly expenses. These are things that reoccur all the time, right? Your utilities, reoccurring, the water bill, the gas bill, the electric bill, that's coming every month. You're not getting away from that. Your mortgage or your rent, that's coming every month. You're not getting away from that. I pay my car insurance every month. I'm not getting away from that. I need gas in my car every month. I'm not getting away from that. Food has to be put inside this house or my wife will kill me every month. I'm not getting away from that. Even your debts that you got to pay, put that on there, because guess what? The debt collectors, they send in that bill every month. You're not getting away from that. If you got Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, or whatever, Apple Music, Apple TV, Apple Arcade, whatever it is that you got, that Google Play, I don't know, I don't care. Write it down. All those subscriptions that you got for streaming services, guess what? Those are coming every single month. And with those, they automatically draft out. Still, you need to account for that and have it written down that is an expense. That's a regular expense. It comes every month. It's not going to change. It's going to always be there. Then you have irregular expenses. There's 2 subcategories to this. The first category for irregular expenses is the ones you still know are coming. They're just not coming every month. You have to get car maintenance done every 3 months, every 6 months, every year. You have to account for that coming down the pipeline. Birthdays, they are never on a different day. My wife's birthday is always the same date. My birthday is always the same date. Our children's birthday is always the same date. And we have been really good at how we deal with our children's birthday, where we don't stress out, man. I'll give you a little caveat to that, guys. But that's an irregular expense right there that doesn't happen every month, but it's coming down the pipeline. Christmas, the date doesn't change. Thanksgiving, the date doesn't change. Vacations, typically the date doesn't change for a vacation. Everybody takes vacation roughly around the same area and arena during the summertime, springtime. None of this is surprising to you, even though it's irregular. It's not a surprising, oh my goodness, her birthday popped up. No, it's been there shouted since A1 day one. So get it together and plan for that accordingly. All right. The other subcategory for irregular expenses are things that just happen. It's called life. Now, these aren't emergencies. These are just things that come up, right? You know what I'm saying? An emergency is like your water heater going out and it's flooding the house or something like that, or a pipe burst. That's an emergency and stuff like that. But something like, and everybody's level of emergency is a little different. Your children's glasses breaking might not be a crazy emergency to you, but it might be to somebody else. I understand that certain things is different for everybody, but little things that happen in the house that you got to take care of that came up, all right, but it can kind of wait until you get paid. Cool. You write that down when it happens and you budget and you plan from that, right? Now, if it happens in the midst of the budget, then you adjust for that, right? Because you can't spend more than what you actually have. And if you do, you're going to be in a debt situation to yourself, trying to make sure that you pay off whatever you're pulling from that should have been paid for in the first place, right? All right. So you create that. You got your income, you got your expenses, your regular and your irregular expenses. You got those things written down. Then you subtract your expenses from your income and you come up with zero. It's called a zero-based budget for a reason. And what that simply means is it's just a financial way of saying every dollar is accounted for. Every dollar has a purpose. Every dollar has a home. Every dollar has a reason. Every dollar has a place to go. You're giving every dollar that comes inside your house a reason to be there. You're giving it a task to do. These dollars over here will pay for the utilities. These dollars over here will pay for the mortgage or the rent. These dollars over here will pay for the vacation. These dollars over here will pay for the glasses. These dollars over here will pay for just in cases. We'll make a category for that. But you have to analyze your life and ask those questions, right? How can you get there? How can you make that happen? Now, when you do that and you sit down and you do that kind of budget, and I'll go a little deeper into it if you guys want me to, but when you do that kind of zero-based budget where you subtract your income from your expenses or your expenses from your income, however you do it, it comes out to zero. It's not going to come out to zero the first time. It's not. You're going to find out that you actually probably got more expenses than income. Well, what do? You have to go back to the drawing board and cut some things out. You got to go back to the drawing board and cut some things out. You might have to cut back on how much you're spending inside the category of family time or pocket money, right? You might have to cut out the Netflix and all that other stuff and those subscriptions and everything like that. I've had to do that. I know what that feels like. I like to edit my videos using Adobe Premiere. And I also got Photoshop and Lightroom. That's a $30 package deal that I got. I've had to cut that off to make sure that I got myself back on track before I could bring that back. You might have to change cell phone providers because Verizon is just like a parasite. I don't care how great they are in the sense of their coverage. They're like a parasite, man. And I had to leave that company. But you might have to change phone plans, man. And one of the things that you might have to do is think about this. Stop leasing out the phone that you have in your pocket. You're paying $30 to $40 a month for a phone in your pocket that is extra on your bill. And God forbid you're doing it for a family, right? A family of five, a kid you when every single phone is costing an extra $30. Our phone bills are ridiculously high. Those are ripoffs. So I've had to sit down and really think about all this stuff, man. And really, I had to cut out some stuff to make things work. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'd rather go to bed at night knowing that I'm able to pay all my bills, even if it doesn't leave me with a lot of money left over to be able to just spend and enjoy being out and about here and there or whatever the case may be. I'm fine with that as long as the house is taken care of. Because if that's the case, then, and I want to live a life of just going ahead and being able to spend, all right, bet it up then. I have to figure out a way to increase my income. Now that's on me, all right? But the house is taken care of, right? You might find, and some of you might find yourself in a position where you've cut, and it's just like, I'm still like tight to the walls, butt cheeks to elbows. Oh my goodness. All right, in those instances, you have to figure out what you're going to do income-wise and become as creative as possible. Figure it out. I know it sounds cold, I know it sounds cruel when I say it like that, but you can't sit down soaking because it's tight. You got to figure out how to get up and continue to strive to make it work, to increase the territory of your finances. You just got to figure it out, guys. Now, you might find yourself in a position to where you got more income than expenses. Now, before you go out there dancing in the streets to the rhythm of the night about this, slow down and reanalyze your budget again. I still advise you to do that. Why? Simply because you might notice that you've missed something. I've done my budget and I was like, oh my goodness, I got an extra $100 and I left out the gas bill. And that was the month that the gas got cut off. But you might find out that you didn't write something down and you didn't account for something that's going on. So before you get excited about having more income than expenses, in the sense, and again, it's not balancing for zero, you need to sit down and reanalyze it and make sure you didn't miss anything. Now, if you didn't miss anything and you honestly didn't, put that, it's still not a, like we love to call it leftover. Make that, call that a specific thing, whether it's give it a purpose, extra money into saving, extra money on your mortgage, or out for a date with your spouse, family time outing or something like that. Give it a specific reason, a specific category or something like that, man, and put it to use, right? All right, put it to use. It doesn't always have to go towards spending and balling out. You know what I'm saying? We ball out with that 100, right? It can go to a purpose to get you further ahead, like throwing it in your savings account. Now, here's a little tidbit that I'm trying to teach my sons, right? And then I'll end this video on this, guys. Here's a tidbit that I'm trying to really pour into my children as they're getting jobs, they're making money now. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. I love it, man, because they're paying for their own haircuts. Man, I love the fact that they're paying for their own haircuts. You just don't know how beautiful that is and everything like that. Cell phone bill coming soon. I'm gonna type one out, put it in the mail, send it to them. Be like, haha, your bill's due. Partner, is you paying or is it getting cut off? Figure it out. Anyways, but no, on a serious note, I told my son, okay, this is what you do. And this is what I do. God and paying myself. God and paying myself. If it's two categories that need to be at the top of your quote unquote expense list, is paying God or pouring into your local congregation and paying yourself. If you're not a Christian, I still advise that you make charity a section on your budget and put it at the very top. Don't make it the last thing at the bottom or anything like that. Try your best to move charity. Try your best to move your offering, your giving, or whatever the case may be at the top. And paying yourself. Try your best to push that at the top. And then after you do that, everything else, and that's everything else, mortgage, utilities, little small saving things that you want to do down the line and stuff like that. Like I'm setting aside money to buy equipment, more equipment. But not only that, setting aside money to do house stuff that me and my wife are thinking about doing and everything like that. That's after God and paying myself. Now, what does it mean to pay yourself? What do I mean by paying yourself? Paying yourself doesn't mean that you're paying yourself to go out to the spot, going out to eat, going grocery shopping, tech shopping and stuff like that. That's not what that means. It's paying yourself for a long-term financial goal. Get into the habit of if you can, and especially if you're a young person right now, you're just not working, get into the habit of charity / God / giving to your local congregation. That's really all that means when you're giving to God, you're pouring into your local congregation. And I'm not going to get into that debate. I'm not. I strongly believe in pouring into your local congregation because that's your community. Give into the community that you live in. Everybody talk community economics. And I'm thankful that the church practices that to the highest degree. We pour into our community, all right, so that we can have a pot to reach in if something's going on. Anyways, that's for another subject. But those two categories, and then paying yourself. Put those at the top. And then after that, budget your lifestyle. Your lifestyle should come after those two categories. Those two categories should be never changing. If anything, they should increase over time, not decrease. And as you plan and plot out everything else, you live according to what's left. Because here's the thing, I find it amazing. We live according to what the government takes out, meaning that the government takes theirs first. We sit down and we live off of what we get back off of that. Get into the habit of treating paying yourself and pouring into your charity or your local congregation in the same vein. Treat it like you're paying, that money automatically has to come out, and then you live off of and you build your lifestyle on what's left over, guys. Just get into that habit. But these are some things, man, if it felt like I was rambling, I'm sorry, but these are some things that I've practically done, and it's helped me out tremendously. Our savings account has increased. Our focus on the future has increased. Bills are paid on time, every time, all the time. And what I've even found out in my case, I actually have more money than I thought. I always thought that I just didn't have enough money. It just always felt like, and me and my wife would say that I would get raises and it felt like we didn't have enough money. But the beautiful thing is, because I've managed and I'm getting better at my budgeting, I'm noticing I have far more income than I thought. That's crazy right there, right? So the next video, we're gonna talk about business finances, but it's not gonna be in the way that you think, because I'm gonna talk about it from the perspective on how your business finances, especially if you're like me, I have a 9-to-5, plus I got my music, my poetry, the other things that I do and everything like that. So I'm gonna talk about how it is a blessing to have a 9-to-5 and that business venture that's actually bringing in some income, how that can help us reach our personal goals a whole lot better, because that actually, honestly, puts us a little bit more ahead of the game than we think. I hope this blessed you guys. I know this was a long one, man, but I just had to. We cannot talk about restructuring and rebranding without talking about our finances. And I want to encourage you, and I pray that you guys become extremely vigilant, extremely intense, extremely involved and invested in getting better at your finances. It makes for a less stressful life. Control your finances. Don't let them control you, man. Much love and respect. Peace.